This is day 563 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. The sponsor coming Shemar, the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Please comment to me directly. Be greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Shin Lamadal Yugimel to your test. Yugimel Vamnam Ikar be Ikar as far as Shemashast Ishaisle Atzik Kabuyin. That which the Gemara says that we can't allow you to save stuff because they might come to extinguish the fire. Here's some of the shares Gedolos. We have big questions about this. But makes Amalefech. By corpse, he said the opposite. You're allowed to save a corpse from a fire. The because the person is concerned and discombobulated about his the corpse of his deceased. If you don't allow him to remove the corpse, he's going to come to extinguish the fire. The Tesis responded, so you don't not have much anguish about your money that you actually as you have on your deceased relative. And if you allow the person to save the money, let's heal, because they'll get distracted by saving. He's going to forget that Shabbos day will come unintentionally to extinguish the fire. But that okay, that's unintentional. But by the dead relative, he's much more angry. It's going to come to extinguish the fire deliberately. We have in Krishma b'chol nafshel chol modecha, right? Could be that's his own nefesh, right? All right, but still. But anyway, the also says, when you do rules in order to and make a nut part of your garments in order to remove it on Shabbos. The question is according to opinion that holds that we do a ruse when trying to save stuff from a fire to wear everything you can possibly wear. To remove it from the house or the fire is to let you do that by a fire, because if not, then you're going to come to extinguish it. So you see that we're more concerned by your possessions. And there in the very sugya matzin shalosh sudas, the decision to save 3 meals worth. Mishnah talks about making barrier from the fire with any type of vessel, where they're full or empty. Before, because so the fire should not pass. Rabbi says you're not allowed to use new pottery vessels, because they can burst because of the heat, and then the water can flow out and extinguish the fire. Gemara says there, the town Rabbi Yossi, the Avaka, the Grom Ashari. Rabbi Yossi's reason is even though indirect causation of the extinguishing the fire is permitted, nevertheless, if we allow you to do this, you're going to come to extinguish it. Ayin Sham, that's Rabbi Yossi. If I want to pligale, if I want to argue, they're obviously not concerned with this svara. The Shari Slay Astich Buye, that if we allow him to do this, he's going to come to extinguish it. So why are we concerned here? Also the beginning of Mishiachshich and Shabbos. Omer says, that's Mamono. It says explicitly, a person doesn't restrain himself when it comes to his money. If you don't permit it, then he's going to come to move 4 amos to Rabin. So even by money, we say this far. The opposite svara, that a person is bahul amamoino, and therefore we have to allow him to do something. Don't allow him to do something, so then he's going to come to the Chol Shabbos. So Yudal ve'emes beikos for a zoom So in analyzing this issue, when is a person more likely to sin? Whether it's a mesa or a mamono, whether we allow him or don't allow him. Im not too low, whether we allow him or not, don't allow him. Where you have a bechor, which, in other words, the firstborn animal, which has kedusha, obviously kedusha is bechor, and you need to let its blood. There's a condition where its blood has to be let out. and that can creates a mum, which will make it possible as a carbon. I feel mace emikiz lo dam div Rabbi. So Rabbi says even if it's going to die, you're still going to let its blood. Chamin say no, let its blood, as long as you're careful not to give it a mum. Rabbi says it's it. Rabbi holds that since a person is discombobulated about his money, you allow him to the place where he's not. You don't make a mum. Ask me, Malcolm Shasi, you might mum. You come to the place you do make a mum. But hold the opposite. Coach can do low short, it's like cloud. If you don't let him at all, I say, man, Malcolm Shas Mamum is going to do it, it's going to let blood, place you do make a mum. Came into overall Recha, and Shubla because since he's going to not pay attention to you, he won't be concerned. He'll just go and do wherever he does it. But if you give him, a finger, he won't take a hand. If you allow him to do it in a place where he won't make a mum, he won't violate the permission you give him and do a place where it's going to make a move. So this is in this part they argue. If you don't give him a little leeway, guard fay. It's worse. Come with a mace. If you don't allow him to say the mace is going to do it by a ruse, he's going to come and do it directly. So why here by fire is it the opposite? So we don't let him do anything. We say, don't give a finger because it's going to take a hand. But since, on the other hand, the one doesn't say, well, Rava's issue here, whether we give him a leeway or don't give him leeway by the fire, is the machlokas tanoim by Bechor. The kind of komodim, so must be everybody here concedes that it's different than the other cases. Menu, and we don't understand the reason. That's why. The Rashi Zaba message was shown Tegan calls it. Right? Says Rashi warned all this. So the Rabbi says that, but Rabbi says that you can't start saving things. His language is if you allow him to begin saving so much. So this is the way it's explained. The Vada certainly monitors matters. When a Chachamim forbade a Jewish person to involve himself in saving things, he's not going to translate. He's not going to violate what Chachamim say. He'll accept the divine decree. But that's not if he's not heavily involved in the saving. But he's heavily involved in saving in a mutter way. So then, once he's distracted by what he's allowed to do, he's going to forget about Shabbos. He's going to start saving things in a way which is awesome. So after everything we can, because they don't allow it at all, it's worse. Is going to forget and just going to extinguish it, even in the right way. But we allow it him, he's not so discombobulated. Since he has a pathway, the things you can save in a permissive way. So this is the way it works. Go either way. Ella, but the halacha kenu, this is the halacha dim lo yaskil klau batzola, but they say Toby assertion is going to love aderech legamre. If he's not going to start at all saving, so better to close off all possibilities. And with schil batzola, we allow him to start saving some stuff. This is the best way to do it, as we shall now explain. It says 9. So only allowed him 3 meals worth, but that's not called saving. Mr. Dusher saying it's a minor, small amount. It's not going to cause him confusion and discombobulation. So he closed off the possibility of being saving stuff, like Rashi says. No good. But to make a wall with vessels, that the fire should not pass. You allow him to do it in any type of vessel. Not see fit to bar from him the closing of the pathway for the fire. So if you forbid for him new pottery vessels, for saying Bashari came is involved with other vessels. Shina Maspiklo, and he doesn't have enough of them, he's not having enough of them, Bohu, and is distracted and discombobulated, it's going to completely extinguish the fire. But if you allow him to use all possible vessels, he's not going to get discombobulated, and he's not going to directly extinguish it. And so too in the rules of the garments. This is you have to you are compelled to allow him to take out any garments. If you don't allow, if you only allow a few garments and not all garments, so then he's going to get discombobulated and he's going to get confused and he's going to extinguish the fire. So to somebody who's it became Shabbos while he's traveling, and he's holding his wallet. He's holding his wallet from before Shabbos. So he's not going to work for him to throw it out of his hands. They have to look for somebody to do with their cheter. So too by the b'chor, which needs a bloodletting, also involved in its healing. To put it in water to cool it down. Chapes achar uman and Yehudi, or to look for a non-Jewish specialist. When time shinu on basis and mutalo, which is minvim ayin sham. Okay, if that's the case, shenizgor a love es haderech yizbahel will be yasabeser. If we close off the way for him, he's going to become discombobulated and do it in a prohibited way. That's why there's some people who forbid even saving through a non-Jew, as shall become clear later on. It seems to be astonishing. Why? It's in order to distance him from getting too distracted, as we have explained. So, to me, it's not clear 100% what he's explaining here, but he's saying that we're matir certain things which are not on the pathway which will lead further because they're not significant enough of a step in that direction. We're not matir things which are beyond that, because then it's going to get discombobulated and do all sorts of things and come to the Mechal Shabbos. So we give him a limited pathway, putting up kalim. On that pathway, we don't put up restrictions because then that would be the counterproductive. So if we let him put up kalim, only not klicheres chadashim, so he'd end up putting up all sorts of other stuff. So if we don't put any, he'd end up extinguishing the fire. So once we gave him a heter, either heter or harama, we're going to go all the way with that heter or that harama. But that doesn't go over to the next step. In other words, and past that, we don't start. So we can once we start a certain pathway of heter, we go to the end of that pathway. If we can't, but we don't go beyond that, and we don't open up new vistas and new pathways. So here, by the mace, the only thing we can do is let him take it out in a derech, which is harama, put a piece of bread on him, etc., etc. So that we allow, and there's no other thing besides that. But by Bechor, we there's a question, right? What can you allow? What can't you allow? And Chachamim say there too that we have to allow you to do it a certain way, but ain't no Yehudi or some other way, but we have to take it to the hilt because we can't stop the process in the middle. So now, by the case of Matzilin, so we do let you do Shal Shudas, and we let you do Begadim. But those are pathways which we're going to allow. But we can't allow the pathway being Matzil other things where there are no defined parameters, such as all the garments you can wear, or like the case of Kis, where you go Pachas Pachas Me'arba Amos. Those cases, we can't be Matzil anything lest we go that slippery slope and then as a result, he's going to become discombobulated and extinguish the fire. Something along those lines. That's what the Arukh HaShulchan is saying. Yud Zayin. Klasa Taisus. That place of Shem Rabbeinu Tam. They came in the Mash also Chachamim B'Atzol Rabbeinu Tam Behala. That's Chachamim answered certain forms of saving stuff because of confusion. Since they're going to get distracted by the saving, Yishlu Chol Shabbos Yichab, they're going to forget about Shabbos, they're going to extinguish the fire. Zeno Shaykh of a bias, it's only by house. Shavlekabo, where the fire there, Shabil Bukal, but there's very much of a confusion. I'm sorry, Rabbi Shavlekabo in the house where the fire is taking place. There's a lot of confusion. A bias, that's Mukhal, also bias, but the next door over. Shasrefa ba, bias, the Mukhal, also bias, Shasrefa ba. Rakrim Shlotakil Shalom at Leka. They're confused, they're afraid that the fire's going to reach them. Here, we're more Mako, because the Bahem, Lo Shabbos Shabbos. They're not going to forget Shabbos in that adjacent house, Shana Behola Gedola is going to not such a big confusion. Okay, Shabura says that's possible that other people besides of our bias, his wife and children, who are not so confused and could discombobulate, they can say for the Babayis anything they want, even the house which is burning. And even money, but they still can't take anything from him into a carmelist. Okay, they're back to Arukh HaShulchan. Usually, some say the dafur chotzer acher hu chotzer, not the house adjacent to the fire, but another chotzer. Avashar batim chotzer, but other houses in the same courtyard. Dinam givarish that's like the house which the fire is occurring. But as far as that's logical. The whole chotzer gedola abehola. The entire courtyard, the confusion is very great. Yesh l'chus Shabbos, are afraid that people are going to fetch Shabbos. Shem b'chotz ha'aretz is supposed to another courtyard. Chem mashal sh'toises hayin shab. That seems to be indicate what toises means. Bracket it says Reish Berko. Kisvei shekasvu omer ben tam chulik shenafel leika bosa bayis bosa chotzer when the fire is in that house or in that courtyard. When bosa chotzer people bayis in that courtyard, even in a different house. Yivches kas Rabbeinu Beis Yosef b'si beis the yesh matim l'talto mos. Some people allow you to take money and other mukta stuff in order to say because the firemen they are nosim or because of bandits who are coming to steal them. In the case where there is a potential loss, we're not concerned with the prohibition of mukta. Those are forbidden. And even they'll non-Jew to move merchandise which is going to get lost because of the rain, those are forbidden. Beard word means to say that two of you Shem Sefer Truma, the two brings down the name of Sefer Truma. The interior is the muktzah and they have some mama. They allowed the prohibition that was normally prohibited because of muktzah. In the case of monetary loss, come over to lake or such way of fire, or lahatio, the exile to save from theft. Commotion matina mishihikshich lo b'derech. You find the case of mishihikshich when somebody's on the road and becomes Shabbos. The mutter, the taltamos is allowed to carry his money. The malkam say lo midu is a muktzah. In the case of lost people, they do not sustain the prohibition of muktzah. Therefore, you can start, but the people who can't start, and neighbors who are allowed to, because they're not going to get discombobulated and violate Shabbos, you can say money another muktzah. Also buy I feel very mutar, and that which you forbade in the house where the fire is, even things which are mutar to save, even those are not muktzah. Then it's because they're afraid we may come to extinguish the fire. But the other houses, where there's no such concern, like we wrote, to save even muktzah. You test, but that's still only taken to a place within the Eruv. Which is outside the Eruv, it's no good. Kolshkin Karmas is certainly not to a Karmas, or Shusarab Midrabban. And this we learned that you save the sack concerning the sefer with the sefer. Even though in the sack there's money. I have a multiple sefer also, but you can't save money. You can't save some money without the sefer. Why not? They allowed it to some muktzah. Come nebas Easter tiltul chadashin mereves chater tvei chamir tvei. The prohibition of saving to a chater which has no heir is more severe. So the safer, once you're allowed to save the safer, and the safer allowed even to save the safer Torah to chater shein mereves, you can save the money with it, but you can't take the money alone to chater shein mereves. Va'avagad the basic chmir yetzer be'isra muktzah be'isra otzok masab le'el siman shini rav. Even though by mace we're more machmir in isra muktzah than we are in isra otzok. In other words, you can take it out, but only with the bread. Some nation isra muktzah is tikkur. I think because you can use a bread or the child and put it on the mace. And by mace they allowed you to take the mace itself out even into a carmelis. Because the honor of the mace is more severe than the monetary issues. It says somebody forgot a wallet in the courtyard. They didn't allow him the muktzah to move it. Because he was criminally negligent for forgetting it there. But if it's a fire anosim and bandits, is not negligent. They suspended from the prohibition muktzah. All that's the opinion of all these people. But tomorrow we will see that the Torah argues and does not hold the Ramata is a muktzah under these circumstances.